Hi there, you lovely lot, and welcome to the latest episode of Pat's Procrastination, brought to you by the Pat's Propaganda YouTube channel. Please do not forget to be subscribing to said YouTube channel as we welcome you into episode 72. Now, before I bring in my amazing co-host, I do need to just quickly apologise. There is construction work and all sorts of things going on in my neighbourhood. Everybody today has decided to either have slabs put down, have them cut, have a fence put up. There's just everything going on. So I'll try and mitigate the background noise as much as possible, but I don't have the most amazing tech skills, as you guys know. So quick apologies beforehand if there's some background noise. I'll try and mute my microphone and such. But anyway, that's that. Apologies beforehand. Chudders, how are things with you?
Things are very good with me. Thank you very much. So, lovely listeners, for the next 20 minutes, I'm just going to sip my cup of tea, and Claire is going to tell you all about how much she loves referees.
Oh, that's really, yeah. Ha, ha, ha. Considering you take the mickey out of me considerably during shows about my unhappiness against the referees, it's very typical of you to do that, really. So I'm going to shut up, and it's going to be silence, and people are going to tune out, and we're going to have.
Come on, that was the first message that I got after the Pats won was, I can't wait to talk about the refs.
Well, that's actually quite incorrect. And it's not the first message you got. It's just the first message you checked, because you never check your messages. It was actually that I will be mentioning the refs this time.
Go on then, sound off.
Words, actually. Do I need to? Everybody, like... Oh, I'm going to complain about the officiating this week, and it wasn't actually.
So please do complain. Please do complain.
But I'm really just chewing something that's already been chewed and swallowed, because everybody's been going on about it because it was so abysmal. Now, it's really funny because you can't say that the officiating lost the Patriots the game, because they didn't lose. They won. Woohoo! Victory Tuesday. What, as they say. Yeah, I won't do that ever again. But it was bad. It was so bad that everybody's talking about it. You listen to general NFL podcasts and things, Heed the Call, and many others. You know, that there are many others to partake. You know, we're not one brand here. So, but yeah, everybody's talking about it because it was just so bad. And then, spoiler alert, folks, if you haven't seen the KC game, there was more there, but that's to be expected because it's KC. And that's one thing. This is a complete massive side now. I'm just going on a complete journey over there right now, folks, because this has got nothing to do with the Patriots. But it's quite miserable watching KC games now, simply because, not because, I think they're going to win, but because it's like you see things happen with the officials and you're like, oh, this is so disgusting as a sport to watch, that teams are going to be given, or this team is going to be given a win or even sort of advantages, because they're in bed with the officials, or the officials are in bed with them, or other kind of obscene things that I won't say on here that I have been in trouble for saying.
You can't be fined. To be fair, you can't be fined by the NFL, where coaches and players can. You're allowed to say whatever you like about the officials. You can't be fined.
I know. No, but sometimes I'll say things that are a little bit, not for family viewing, and I get told off because I'm a girl. How can you say that? Because I can be really quite explicit when I get really angry. So I do try and curb that and don't go on social media. But it was really awful. And there was no consistency. It felt very one-sided. A couple of times it looked like the Saints players were turning to the officials as if they were like saying, well, can we have a flag? And then they had a flag. And it's like, obviously, some of the penalties were legit. There was something, I wrote it down and I don't know where I put the post-it note. There was a penalty that was called that initially I was really annoyed with, and then when you watched it back, it was fair. So I'm not against that, but it's the consistency. Where's the consistency? Where's the fairness? Isn't officiating supposed to be like non-bias? There's loads of talk of to do with the betting because it was, and gambling, and because it was. See, look, I'm just chewing over stuff that everybody else has chewed, and I don't really want to do that as such. And we are limited with time. And this is a Patriots recap show. So yeah, I'm just going to put it in a bag of the officiating was.
I don't disagree with that. But your notion is that it was a deliberate agenda against the Pats?
No, it feels like it. And when you look at things like that, but I don't know. That's a bit of a big conspiracy, really, isn't it? Now, I'm not against the whole KC one. That's different. But it being against the Pat, I don't know. I mean, I jump on the bandwagon if somebody wants to bring a group round and things like this. I'm all for it. But I don't know if it was really, or if it's just like fan frustration of, oh, are you kidding me? They just don't want the Patriots to roll. We've finally got the guy. We've got weapons, as people like to say. We've got the most amazing head coach ever. I'm going to say that. So, yeah. Now the NFL don't like it again. Maybe.
Okay, there we go. We heard it here first. The NFL don't like the Patriots, so they're going to do all they can to scupper them.
See, that's not actually what I said. So once again, you
that's
don't
not a million. That's not a million miles away from what you just said, actually, madam.
And make out like I said it. And the one thing I forgot to do was, sandwiches for everybody. Spoiler alert, folks: the Patriots top of the AFC East.
Brilliant. Yeah, Buffalo losing last night means the Pats are now top of the AFC East.
Just in case somebody wanted to watch it, we have to apologise that we've given you, but you've probably seen it on social media. So with social media as it is, so apologies if you've gone social media silence and you're listening to this just to talk about the Patriots game. We do apologise for any spoiler alerts that have been caused. He's not. I am.
So you enjoyed the game. What positives did you see from the game then, Claire?
I enjoyed the game-ish. Because when there was all the penalties, it was starting to kind of be, is that going to get called back? A touchdown gets called back. It's like, what? Oh, my God. Yeah, it was a closer game than I was expecting. You could say that's a slight cause for concern, but we're going to see, because the NFL at the moment is just wonky. Because you've got it's just completely Atlanta. Oh, sorry. Brain fog this morning. It's far too early, thanks to this gentleman. Atlanta beating the Bills, which I wouldn't have had on my bingo scorecard. So, and the Panthers more spoiler alerts, folks. The Panthers beating the Cowboys. I know the Cowboys aren't great, but the Panthers? Whoa. It's like it's one of those Twilight Zone things maybe going on at the moment. What's going on? But yeah.
So Patriots.
Sorry.
Drake May looked very good. As I said last week, I thought this game could be mentally more of a challenge than the Bills game. Bills was going to be more of a skill test, if you like. This was going to be mentally to get up for it, to go and hammer it. To not on last week's show. Glad you listened. Thank you.
I don't know that was with me. You see,
I don't know how many. I only have one show. I only have one show. I know you have more than one. I thought this was going to be mentally more of the challenge, and how close it was didn't surprise me. Not because I think the teams are that close on paper or in skill level, but I just thought it was going to be a challenge. You've just had such an emotional, big statement victory against the Bills to get up and go and smash the Saints. As much as I hoped it would happen, I feared you would get a slight drawback, which is, to be fair, I'd almost say the Pats didn't actually have much of a drawback. If to some respects, I thought the offense actually looked a bit better as a passing attack. Drake May looked a little bit better as a quarterback, even than he had against the Bills. But you didn't get your running game going at all. So you weren't able to really dominate on offense. Yes, there were the penalty callbacks as well that did not help at times. But it played in terms of it being close. That didn't surprise me. I'd hoped it wouldn't be that case, but there was a few mistakes. That botched snap on fourth down, I think, wasn't it? Where May managed to recover it, but
yeah,
there was a couple of mistakes
And that was
no
at
way
a
am I
really
down on
pivotal
them.
time as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a time you thought, okay, could we go and score just before the half? Got 5
Yeah.
minutes left, something like that, and that was a frustration. It was a very good display. Drake May is looking like he is the franchise quarterback. He's starting to develop. I think his progressions, what did you? I've got a question. What did you think about the O-line performance?
Well, they weren't great against the run, really. Not against the run, like in the run game. Apologies.
In the run game, I also, and perhaps I'm wrong because I have heard a lot of commentary sort of saying how good they did and how they gave May a pocket. I felt a lot of May's best plays the past couple of weeks have been when he's playing on the move, when he's scrambled out of a pocket and then he's made a great read, a great throw, a good completion, made some progress. It's rarely that poise of I'm sat in the pocket for 3-4 seconds, making the read and bang. It's often when he's been on the move a bit more, and he's done it very well. But it did make me fear for, okay, well, how good is this O-line then if that's what he's needing to do? But I hold him hands up. Perhaps I'm wrong with that because I've heard quite a bit of praise for them.
I was going to say there was one play that I wanted to highlight for Will Campbell because I thought he was doing quite well. You saying that in regards to May being sort of under pressure, having to move around a bit. Now, I'm not saying that the pockets kind of fall in and the O-line aren't great to cause this, but maybe that's when he plays his best football.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of athletes that play way better under pressure. Now, it's unfortunate because you don't want him to have to be under that pressure, but maybe that's what's going to bring the best out of him. So there's always that kind of like the silver lining of the situation. It's interesting. I think it's one of those, what are we, week 5? Week 6, apologies. So we're 6 games in now, and we are seeing that upward progression. And I think it's just one of those things of we've only seen 6, so see a bit more sort of thing with that kind of thing. So, but no, I see where you are coming from. For me, it was more the case of the run game, and that they kept going back to it as well, which was starting to become a little frustrating because it was like it isn't working type thing. But I've got to say that my good list was a lot longer than my bad list this week.
Good. So any other particular players or plays or possessions you want to call out on your good list, Claire?
You've got, when it comes to offense, you've already mentioned Drake May and his pocket manipulation, no interceptions. The wide receivers in general, the wide receiver core, I know it's been looked at prior and there's no wide receiver 1, but there might be now if you class Diggs. And I know there's lots of tetrishness between fans of what is and what isn't. But I think what they do have is some really, really good ones. And whilst maybe it's debatable if Diggs is wide receiver 1, Diggs and Booty and Pop and Matt Collins, as much as it pains me to say, because they were both Bills that at the beginning of the season, I was really, really struggling with that situation. That's good. And then you've got the likes of Efton Chisholm, who basically just hasn't got much chance to really play because who they do have are doing well. So that's quite an interesting situation to be in. Hollins did some great blocks, and he's catch in the second quarter, I believe it was a real snatch catch. So that really, I was quite impressed with that. He looks a lot like being tall. He looks a lot like a tight end. So it throws me off every so often. And I will kind of be very humble and say, when they signed him, I wasn't very happy. I didn't want to bill. It was nothing against him. I hadn't sort of, ground the tape on him. He was a bill, and that was how it was for me. And I was really worried about it.
But the Bills have been good.
Yeah, but it's that okay, it's that head.
So you'd rather have
I know he's
Panther.
good, but I hate him because he's a Bill. But I know he's good, but I hate him because he's a Bill. But I know, so it's one of those sorts of things. But no, I want to give him credit. Not that he listens to the show or anything, but I want to give him credit because he's really good as that blocking sort of back up down the depth chart a little bit sort of guy. And I think it's great that, that they've got that. So the wide receiver core, if we were giving out little like game balls or whatever, I think as a group, I'd give the wide receiver room would have a little prize this week if we was giving out chocolate or whatever. Bring a box for the wide receiver core. So yeah, that was definitely on my good list. And if you want to talk defense, there's two particulars just for like little plays. But I also want to mention our beloved coach on his just being on it with the challenges and such towards the end of the game and clock management and things like that. So, yeah, I know. Yes, I agree. He's not 100% perfect and stuff like this, but it's things that maybe, well, I know I haven't paid much attention to before, but I don't know whether it's just because this is a coach that I love even more so. But yeah, it definitely obviously helped them win at the end of the game because there were some unfortunate situations, like you said, the fumble towards the end. It knocked out the potential to, make that a play and possibly get more scores on the board, that kind of thing. So Vrabel would also get chocolate this week from me.
Okay, you're handing out chocolate, are you?
Yeah, I'm handing out chocolate because that's like one of my favorite things. My favorite things, she says.
Okay, fair enough. No, I'd agree. And I'm not sure how much as well is stretching his ear, whether that's sort of old Ernie Adams kind of role of being that game manager in the background. But no, I agree. They got them right. I thought they actually even could have challenged once more on there was an Olave catch that was punched out, and I thought, and they ruled it an incompletion. I mean, it's easy to say as an armchair fan, but I would have challenged that one. And I think he caught that, and then he got it punched out and recovered. So,
oh yeah, that was definitely I've got that written down somewhere.
It obviously didn't matter in the end. That you haven't lost a game, so it's not cost you. No. But no, I thought they did very good, and obviously, challenging the reception that literally won the game. Essentially, then you could just kneel down after that.
I got that he made forward progression as well. 2 steps forward progression, punch out by the Patriots. Do such crap by the officials. Sorry, incomplete pass ruled, and then
right. That wasn't an example of something that I'm massively heavy on the referees, because when it happens, it all happens in less than a second of catching a ball, turning, getting it punched out. I can see how, as an official, particularly if you're a sideline judge, in that case, you have your back to the ball. You don't see the ball because he catches it and then turns inside. So you're not going to see at what point he's caught it and the ball's then been punched out. So I can see how you might just see, okay, the ball's come into him, and then 1 second later it's on the floor. Okay, yeah, that's an incomplete catch. I can understand how that is given that way. I don't think it was. I think upon further review, when you slow it down to the microsecond frame by frame, you could argue, like you just have, oh, hang on, there's 2 steps there, and maybe he did actually receive it, and then it was punched out rather than he juggled it and it popped out. But I can that's an example of one that I'm not too harsh on the Zebras for, to be fair. So anyway, goods. Any other goods that stood out to you?
I've got Ellis's forced fumble and Marcus Jones with good coverage.
Yeah, I think Jones did have a good game. He's and there was a fair. I think he went down with an injury, or certainly looking injured, but I think he came back into the game.
I think he was winded. I think.
Yeah, but that was a worry when he went down at first. Same for Landry. Actually, I was really surprised that Landry came back out. That looked a bad one. Overall, so any more goods before I move on to another of my bads?
No, you go for it. You moan.
So I didn't think the defense had a good game. They had some spot moments you've just called out, turnovers, but I didn't think they had a good game. They couldn't stop. I mean, to be fair, that the Saints didn't get much of a run game going themselves. Same amount of yards, but I don't know. I didn't feel like there was enough pressure being put on Spencer Rattler, who, to be fair, I didn't have that bad a game for my expectations of him. I don't see him as, he's nowhere near a top quarterback. But I thought you made him look quite comfortable in his pocket, and he was able to make some throws because he wasn't under a great deal of pressure. But overall, it was a good win. It was a win you had to get because I did fear what headspace they were going to be in after such a big game, and knowing quite a big game's coming up next, whether this was, as it gets termed, a trap game. It was ultimately a good win to have. Good win to have in the pocket. That's the other thing I quite like. And I'm being I'm moving my goalposts of expectations here, so I'm happily admitting that. But what I like is that was a really dug out, hard fought win. The week before was just a great display against the Bills. This felt like a trap game. You're going away. It's easily losable. It's more of a challenge. You were against the refs. It would have been so easy to have messed up that game for a number of reasons, but they didn't mess it up. They got there. They made the right decisions. They got there in the end. That I think psychologically, mentally, that almost adds that other notch on the belt of, okay, we can win this way. We've gone to the Bills and we've beaten them on the field, hands down. This was tougher. This was a different win to the Bills win, even though the point score isn't a hell of a lot different and everything else, but this felt like a different type of win. They're still possibly waiting on that blowout win, which would be nice sometime. We go and put 40 burger up and shut a team out or something crazy. But this felt like a sort of a different type of win to put in your back pocket and remember. So when we're in this situation again, when we're in a game and we think the refs are against us, we know we can dig it out and win. We're not going to give up. That's what I felt coming out of that.
It's good when you talk about the psychological and the mental, giving it. I think that's something that maybe Vrabel, with his confidence and his attitude, can bring to the table. Is they're mentally stronger. Now, I'm not saying that like last season they were mentally weak and Mayo's weak. I'm not. It's not one. It's not. That's an extreme. It's just it gives that extra, and then that little bit extra sort of gets momentum, and then you go from having a pebble to a boulder sort of thing as a roll-on effect. So very key, and yeah, I agree. And I think, like you said, it could have been an easy trap game. It could have been one of those in a dome, away from home, coming off, a win. Do they rest on their laurels thinking, well, we beat the Bills, but they didn't. And maybe that's something that you would expect from maybe something like last season or the season prior to that, the kind of behavior that you may expect. And I think it just shows how different they are now. I think and that's good. That's a good thing. It's a great thing. So
I would also, the other thing I'd add on that is they look like a team. And by that, I mean, they look like they win as a team, they lose as a team. And I appreciate they haven't won for a few weeks now. Sorry, they haven't lost for a few weeks now. But they look like a team that's going to work together. They're not getting too stupidly high. And there's no egos that appear to be sort of standing out more than the others. The people that we thought would be in that position, like Diggs or something, actually haven't, to be fair. They've
a very big team.
Exactly.
I'm in this for the team to bring them up. Sorry.
Exactly. No, that's it. And it feels that team mentality. You know what? We did that as a team. As a team, there's still things we can improve on. None of us are perfect. Collectively, we can do better. But that real team mentality seems to be standing through a bit more than it has recent years, I think, as well.
I think I'd give some credit to the coaching as well.
Definitely.
Coaching staff and the fact that they've got a more secure coaching staff maybe is maybe not quite the right word, but yeah. Do you have any more negatives before we move on? We need to talk Titans, baby.
We don't. One last thing I'll say on thoughts that I had was as good as and obviously the stats came out. Pats have now won 4 games, which is as many as they won the past 2 seasons. They've done it after 6 games rather than 17.
Mm-hmm.
As good as that is, it made me almost feel a little bit sorry for Jared Mayer. Now, I wanted to move on from him. This isn't me in any way trying to pretend otherwise. But it just made me reflect on the past couple of years and think how he was almost a sacrificial lamb here. You're following Bill Belichick, and to be honest, we wanted Bill Belichick to be gone as well. But and that was a relationship and a performance that was deteriorating. It was the right thing to be doing. But the man who follows Belichick was always going to have one of the worst jobs in sports.
Surely you can argue it's the same thing for the quarterback as well. Couldn't you throw that in as well?
Possibly,
for
but
Jones,
honestly,
the guy.
No. So I would agree, but I think that's why.
So you're happy to sort of go, I'll give kudos to
No.
Like him, but not Mac Jones because you didn't.
No. Because they didn't. Mac Jones wasn't the quarterback that followed Tom Brady. It was Cam Newton, and I think that was a deliberate ploy. I think if they'd have signed a rookie. And like a number, I can't remember what number they were picking that year, but we've got the replacement. He's going in week 1. Here's our new quarterback out of the draft. It would have been forever compared with Brady, and I know they kind of always will be. Drake may end up will be, it will happen. But you do it week 1, and that happens, and that's too much pressure. I think part of that ploy was deliberately, no, we're going to have a season. And obviously, it's not only was it an experienced quarterback who could possibly handle that pressure a little more, it was a completely different style of quarterback. It was a quarterback who's going to use his legs a lot more. Obviously, didn't that successfully. The Pats weren't amazing that year. But I think there was a deliberate, we have 1 year without. And that's the same as what's happened with Bill now. We had 1 year without. So it's not me being double standard. I'm actually applying the same standard.
Okay. I concede.
That I think there might be some deliberate element to that, and it's worked. Obviously, it meant Jared Mayo sort of bore the brunt of that, but I think he was given a chance. It never really worked out for him. But what I felt was I really hope he gets a moment, and it ain't going to happen anytime soon. But there's a moment where he can come back to Gillette and be celebrated for the key part of this team's history that he is, and I don't mean in a negative way. He was still a legendary player. He was still part of, I hope I'm not wrong in saying this, I think he was part of that last Super Bowl that they won on the coaching staff, and I might be wrong, but I hope I'm not. But he was part of that staff. He was his defensive coordinator. He was getting lauded. There was so much good that I hope it's not tarnished.
He wasn't DC. He would have been linebacker, if anything.
Yeah. But I hope he gets that moment to come back and get sort of celebrated, hug around him, which might not happen because the relationship with the Crafts might have gone quite sour. I don't know. But that was just one thought I had. Another thought I had, if you want to have a go at me for getting in over my skis.
You don't have time for all these thoughts, though.
Was Mike Vrabel obviously one of the key reasons that they think he's even the coach now is because he was inducted into the Hall of Fame and the Pats Hall of Fame speech, and the Titans didn't like it and all that. I did wonder, should things go amazingly well and it ends in another Super Bowl? I'm not even going to say multiple, but let's say they win another Super Bowl. Pats do very well, have a good run for the next, let's say they win 4 division titles in the next 7 years, something like that. I don't know. And it gets to the point, can you vote Vrabel into the Hall of Fame again as a coach? Or no, he's already in because he's a player. Can he get inducted twice? That might be a question I have for Fred then.
Okay. This feels like, wow, dude, we've got things to deal with like right now, like the Titans. That feels
right,
like
Titans. Go on them. Titans. What's your thoughts? What's your prediction, Claire?
Totally run out of time. Well, the Titans are coming off a loss again, 1-5.
Mhm.
Interesting situation. Because we don't have much time to lament this, really. So I'm just going to go. I've struggled between two score predictions: 24-13 Patriots or 27-13 Patriots, and I can't quite decide.
Okay.
So I'm at 24/27-13.
Okay. Obviously, to add, they did fire their head coach on Monday. It looks like they're going to
Everybody knows this.
appoint a new one before Saturday, not an interim, but they're already
Are
having
you
interviews, I
worried
think.
about that? They're saying that that's a new coach thing for. Oh, what? How did they prefaced it somehow on social media of a new coach trap or a new? I can't think how it was prefaced, so I apologize. It's too early in the morning for me. I need more tea or coffee or caffeine. So yeah, but does that in any way concern you?
I don't think it's a coincidence. I think that to them almost Saturday or Sunday is their Super Bowl. In as much as I think they do not want to get embarrassed by Vrabel, and any tiny little thing they can do to try and stop that, they're doing.
I'd say more of an excuse. We
If this
lost
had
because we
been
had
a
to fire
throw,
our coach.
if they'd been playing the Jets this weekend, I don't think they necessarily would have fired their coach. I
Are they
think
going to bring in Bill Belichick, do you reckon?
oh, that'd be funny.
They get Carolina to quickly cut ties for.
I just say,
They
but
have him on
Carolina would
loan.
cut ties as quickly as possible. They would have
Tennessee
a
have Bill
jet
Belichick
plane
on
waiting for
loan
him in
as
the car
coach.
park if they thought they could get rid of Belichick that easily. I
Oh,
think.
yeah.
Um,
But anyway, what's your prediction? Because we're kind of running out. I got to give people their days back.
I think the Pats are going to win. I think this could be their comfortable win. I think this is going to be a team that's seriously fired up now. Seriously fired up. They're going to be fired up for their head coach, who's given them
Fair.
so much buoyancy the past few weeks. Now, this is almost one they're going to do for him.
That's a good
I think
point.
with the Bills losing, they now know, hey, we're the top dogs. Let's go out there and keep this. Every week we win, we keep this.
Yeah.
So something extra to fire them up. I think this is not a very good Titans team. I do think they may have a slight rebound with, new regime, bit of freedom. Maybe some players will be in a better headspace than what's gone before. But I see the Pats winning quite comfortably. I think they could win this 34-13.
34-13. Ooh. It's the battle of the 13s, folks. I wonder who will get the score prediction right. How many more sandwiches will you end up than me? Or vice versa, seeing as we're 3 for 2 at the moment. I'm currently winning the score prediction. So sandwiches for me at the moment, currently. So we will see. Anyway. Any final words before we wrap up?
No.
Oh, well, there you have it, folks. No words. So, as we move on to the Titans, folks, that is another episode of Pat's Procrastination brought to you by the Pat's Propaganda YouTube channel. Thank you for listening and watching episode 72. Tune in next time. And as always, go Pats.
LFG.